So how many of you guys remember that first interview with Kaydn Proctor after he transferred back to his home state of Iowa? He said relationships carried a lot of weight in the decision and that no bridges were burned. And because there was a good open dialogue between him and the Hawkeyes, it made it comfortable to return. Funny how Kalen DeBoer took a page out of that book, did it legally, and now has his left tackle of the future returning to the Crimson Tide in 2024. What's going on, SEC Unfiltered? It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the ring notification down below. That way you don't miss a single episode of SECU, because we're talking about the #1 conference in all of college athletics every single day on this platform. Continue to follow us on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook. We got you covered at SEC Unfiltered. Follow my own YouTube channel at Mr. Cole Thompson. Follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. Make sure that you also download the podcast version of the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, really wherever you get your podcast listening systems. And to make sure that you're not missing anything going on in college sports #1 conference, we all know where you got to go. Make sure you visit SECUnfiltered.com. So Kaden Proctor swings his way back from the transfer portal to Tuscaloosa roughly 3 months after going to Iowa City. And I saw this one comment that made me laugh so hard. He wanted to go watch Caitlin Clark live, see her dominance and record-setting performance, and now he's going to go back and play meaningful football. Now, we're going to get into that probably later, but people are asking, how did this happen and what occurred? Well, let's go back to the very beginning of Kaydn Proctor, because his entire recruitment was an anomaly in itself. This was a 5-star talent that grew up in the cornfields of Iowa and was ready to become part of the Hawkeyes' future. He was committed to them for years, if I'm not mistaken. Not only that, he was going to be the next franchise left tackle. We know in the Midwest, they breed offensive linemen. He was next in line. And then 2 days right before early signing period, jolly old St. Nick Saban says, hey, you want to come on down to Tuscaloosa? I want you to be my starting left tackle. Okay, I'm not going to say no to the GOAT, so he heads down there. He helps Alabama turn the corner. They go back to the college football playoff, and slowly but surely, things are looking promising. Saban retires. He says, I got 30 days to decide what's up. I'm going to look at everything. Iowa feels like home. I'm going home. Then he goes on spring break, apparently with Alabama players, not Iowa players, and they're swapping stories. They're talking manly things, and in the morning, they're probably making waffles. And you hear about everything going on in Tuscaloosa with Kalen DeBoer. And Proctor realizes home is not where you grew up, it's where your heart resides. And my heart resides in the sweet old title place known as Tuscaloosa in the halls of Bryant-Denny Stadium, where Kalen DeBoer is hell-bent on winning a national title sooner rather than later. So he's now headed back there. And if you're an Alabama fan, rejoice at the news. Don't worry about what people are saying on message boards or behind closed doors, or if Kalen DeBoer sold his soul to the college football devil just to get back a left tackle. That way they were able to establish dominance very early on. Who cares? You got yourself a left tackle, and you got yourself a really good one who last season was finding his groove down the stretch in the SEC, the conference where it just means more competition, more better play, and more opportunities for you to bolster yourself as a first-round talent in the future. And by the season's end, that version of Kaydn Proctor can go through a 13-game period and help you stay undefeated. He's not going to allow a ton of pressures in the backfield. He's not going to allow Jalen Milroe to get hit. Yeah, there was some struggles against Michigan, but Michigan still had a good defensive line, and he's a freshman. Imagine with 2 more years under his belt what he can do. Now we're talking about what this kid brings to an offense that's about ready to hopefully take flight in new ways than we've ever seen before. And the crazy part is, yes, all this was legal. So how? How was this legal? How were you able to book your opportunity to make it back to Tuscaloosa? But before we go ahead and talk about that, my bookie here is to tell you that March Madness is about to start. We got games today. Today is the tournament. We are locked in. And, you want to see your favorite team go ahead and strut their stuff all the way down to Phoenix, Arizona. Make sure that you enter the bracket contest for a chance of taking home up to $25,000 or pick from a huge selection of straight bets, props, odds, whatever your style. My bookie makes it easy for your way to play and for you to get paid. Sign up right now at MyBookie.ag and take advantage of our generous welcome offer to score a massive first deposit of a bonus up to $1,000. Simply all you gotta do, use the promo code SECU, whatever style, whatever your poison. Make sure that you go ahead and visit mybookie.ag. Use the promo code SECU. That way you can get up to $1,000 on your very first deposit. And also, why not bet on your team to go the whole distance? You rooted for them the entire regular season. Might as well root for them now. So, Kaden Proctor, how does this happen? How is this legal? Well, we all know the rules in the SEC. You're not allowed to transfer from one SEC school to another SEC school unless you are a graduate. Therein is the point. Kaden Proctor had already enrolled at the University of Iowa. So that means he wouldn't be transferring from an SEC school, albeit the same SEC school. He'd be transferring from a Big Ten school to an SEC school. And it's the one-time transfer that he's allowed to use, so he can't go next season if he doesn't like what he's seen underneath a guy like Kalen DeBoer. He's got to buy into the process. But it's legal. And some of you are probably saying this morning, well, that's just not fair. Well, welcome to college football. It's not been fair. People want to talk about how the sport is not broken, how things are all going fine and dandy. No, the sport is very much broken, and this is why you need a college football commissioner. If you're a Georgia fan, be pissed as all hell. If you're an Ole Miss fan, be livid. Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas, Kentucky, any team that potentially stands a shot of making it to Atlanta, and they see Alabama on the schedule and are salivating knowing that this is probably the weakest Kalen DeBoer's roster is going to be, yeah, I'd be a little pissed off too. But for those of you that are very pissed, just let me ask you, were you a fan of the expanded 12-team playoff and now a 14-team playoff? Because those same people that made that playoff happen are allowing a player like Kaden Proctor to return to Alabama. So, you want to be pissed? Okay, whatever. But be pissed at everything or don't be pissed at anything. The funny thing about Kaden Proctor is, this is going to be the new norm when it comes to Alabama. Because everyone decided to have a conversation about what it was like for Kalen DeBoer to make the jump back to the SEC. Never been here before. Doesn't understand the lay of the land. South Dakota guy not going to be able to find success down in the southern region, especially when you got Kirby Smart and Brian Kelly being able to recruit alongside you and Lane Kiffin being the portal king. Well, the one thing that I think you can appreciate, and I remember hearing this story back when he was at Washington, Kalen DeBoer asked his players to help out when it came to transfers as well. He wanted to make sure that players who were thinking about potentially leaving heard from other people, hey, trust the process. And one of the biggest names that he got was Rome Odunze. Odunze comes back, and 2 years later, they're playing for a national title, and Odunze goes from being a mid-level talent to more than likely a multi-millionaire and top 10 pick in the NFL draft next month. Players' relationships are going to carry a lot of weight. And I think that now when you look at how this is done, players are going to start to sell to other players, buy into the process. This is the new norm. You watched as Ryan Williams, a 5-star plus talent, was able to go out and start recruiting for Tuscaloosa immediately when he signed on the dotted line. Because if a 5-star plus talent like Ryan Williams can buy into what Kalen DeBoer is selling, why wouldn't a 3-star? Why wouldn't a 4-star? Why wouldn't a regular 5-star see that type of talent and go, he might be onto something? Sometimes when you go to college, you go for a certain degree or a certain program. And other times you go because it's the state school. But other times you go, you're going for the vibes. You're going for the fit. You're going for what it's like on a Saturday afternoon. What is it like to hang out in certain bars? What's the town like? Do you feel happy there? And that's kind of what it comes to for Kaden Proctor. He's happier being in Tuscaloosa than he is being in Iowa City. He's happier being a part of a team that he knows has an opportunity not only to run the SEC, but dominate the entire college football landscape. And he's already seen and heard from other people, hey, we're doing things a little bit different than how we did underneath Nick Saban. And Saban got the Saban discount, but he also lost some players in the process based off his way of doing things, his ideologies, his thinking style. Well, you bring in a fresh new face and you got now music playing at practice and you got a new defensive coordinator that seems very energetic. You got fans now being able to be around the vicinity. You got reporters at practice. Things are changing in Titletown for the better. And Kaden Proctor's hearing all this and going, I can be a part of a team that maybe goes 8-4, but I'm home. I can be a part of a team where I know I feel home and I have a shot at winning a national title. This is going to be a big landscape changer, I think, in the world of college football. I think it has to be because of you don't see many players enter the portal, then leave their school that they just went to go back to the school they went to. But I do think that this is going to be a monumental moment in sports. But until rules change and until we have relegation on how the portal works and how spring practice is and when you are allowed to enter and how you're allowed to retain or go to a certain place, this will be the new norm. So Kaden Proctor didn't do anything wrong. Alabama didn't do anything wrong. Both benefit. And really the only loser, again, is Kirk Ferentz because of now it's 0 for 2 in trying to land Kaden Proctor. And I do think that this time around, those relationships, those bridges that weren't burned, yeah, they are 100% in flames. But you know what? In Tuscaloosa, they welcome you back with open arms. Kaden Proctor is about ready to terrorize defensive linemen in the SEC for the next 2 years, hopefully on the way to becoming a first-round pick. And in the process, more than likely, Alabama's got a shot at making it to the college football playoff and maybe even a national title. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the ring notification down below. Make sure that you keep up with everything that we're doing here on SEC Unfiltered. Following us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you get social media. Follow my own YouTube channel at Mr. Cole Thompson. Make sure that you also follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Go visit MYBOOKIE.ag. Tournament ball is starting today, people. We all know who's winning the national title. It's not an SEC school, but don't worry. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Make sure you go visit them by using the promo code SECU for your first deposit. And as always, to keep up with the #1 content surrounding the #1 conference in all of college athletics, you know it. You know where to find it. And more importantly, you know it's true. Go visit SECunfiltered.com. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks. Later.